It was the hour that turns the memories of sailing men their first day out to home and friends they sailed from on that morning's breeze, that thrills the traveller newly on his way with love and yearning when he hears afar the bell that seems to mourn the dying day. When I began, for lack of any sound, to count my hearing vain, and watched a spirit who signaled for attention all around. Raising his hands, he joined his palms in prayer, and turned his rapt eyes east, as if to say, I have no thought except that thou art there. Te lucis ante swelled from him so sweetly, with such devotion and so pure a tone, my senses lost the sense of self completely. Then all the others with a golden peal joined in the hymn and sang it to the end, their eyes devoutly raised to heaven's wheel. Reader, if you seek truth, sharpen your eyes, for here the veil of allegory thins and may be pierced by any man who tries. I saw that host of kings, its supplication sung to a close, stand still and pale and humble, eyes raised to heaven as if in expectation. I saw 2 angels issue and descend from heaven's height, bearing 2 flaming swords without a point, snapped off to a stub end. Green as a leaf is at its first unfurling their robes, and green the wings that beat, and blue the flowing folds back, fluttering and whirling. One landed just above me, and one flew to the other bank. Thus, in the silent valley, the people were contained between the 2. I could see clearly that their hair was gold, but my eyes drew back bedazzled from their faces, defeated by more light than they could hold. They are from Mary's bosom, Sordello said, and come to guard the valley from the serpent that in a moment now will show its head. And I, not knowing where it would appear, turned so I stood behind those trusted shoulders and pressed against them icy cold with fear. Once more Sordello spoke. Now let us go to where the great souls are, and speak to them. The sight of you will please them much, I know. It was, I think, but 3 steps to the base of the little bank, and there I saw a shade who stared at me as if he knew my face. The air was closing on its darkling hour, yet not so fast but would it let me see at that close range what it had veiled before. I took a step toward him, he one toward me. Noble Judge Nin, how it rejoiced my soul to see you safe for all eternity. No welcome was left unsaid on either side. Then he inquired, How long since did you come to the mountain's foot over that widest tide? Oh, I replied, I came by the pits of woe. This morning I am still in my first life, though I gained the other on the road I go. He and Sordello, when they heard me thus answer the question, suddenly drew back as if surprised by something marvelous. One turned to Virgil, and one turned aside to a shade who sat nearby. Conrad, get up. See what the grace of God has willed, he cried. And then to me, by all the thankful praise you owe to him who hides his primal cause so deep that none may ever know his ways, when you have once more crossed the enormous tide, tell my Giovanna to cry out my name there where the innocent are gratified. I do not think her mother cares for me, since she put off the weeds and the white veil that she will once more long for presently. She shows all men how long love's fire will burn within a woman's heart when sight and touch do not rekindle it at every turn. Nor will the Milanese viper she must bear upon her tomb do her such honour in it as would Galera's cock emblazoned there. So spoke he, and his features bore the seal of that considered anger a good man reaches in reason and may rightly feel. I looked up at the heavens next, and eyed that center point at which the stars are slowest, as a wheel is next the axle, and my guide said, "My son, what is it that you stare at so?" And I said, "At those 3 stars there in white light, in whose light the polar regions here are all aglow." And he to me said, "Below the rim of space now ride the 4 bright stars you saw this morning, and these 3 have arisen in their place." Sordello started as my guide said this, and clutching him, he pointed arm and finger, crying, "Our adversary, there he is." Straight through the valley's unprotected side a serpent came, perhaps the very one that gave the bitter food for which Eve cried. Through the sweet grass and flowers the long sneak drew, turning its head around from time to time to lick itself as preening beasts will do. I did not see, and cannot tell you here, how the celestial falcons took to flight, but I did see that both were in the air. Hearing their green wings beating through the night, the serpent fled. The angels wheeled and climbed back to their posts again in equal flight. The shade the judge had summoned with his cry had not moved from his side, though through all that fray he stared at me without blinking an eye. "So may that lamp that leads you to what you seek find oil enough," he said, "in your own will to light your way to the enameled peak. If you can say for certain how things stand in Val di Magra or those parts, please do, for I was once a great lord in that land. Conrad Malaspina I was, the grandson and not the elder. Here I purify the love I bore for those who were my own." "Oh," I replied, "I never have been near the lands you held. But is there in all Europe a hamlet ignorant of the name you bear? The glories of your noble house proclaim its lords abroad, proclaim the lands that bear them, and he does not know them knows their fame. I swear to you, so may my present course lead me on high, your honored house has never put by its strict sword and its easy purse. Usage and nature have so formed your race that, though the guilty head pervert all else, it still shuns ill to walk the path of grace." And he said, "Go now, for the sun shall not complete its 7th rest in that great bed the ram bestrides and covers with its 4 spread feet, before this testimony you have given shall be nailed to the center of your head with stouter nails and more securely driven than ever hearsay was, and this shall be certain as fate is in its fixed decree.